Okay, if we look at exercise 6.2, we're deciding whether primary or secondary data should be used in this investigation. So normally primary data is you have to collect it yourself. Secondary data is you have to find the data that has been collected. So depending on the time and the effort that is needed, for example, if it's a big scale project, you might need to use a secondary data. So let's look at the first one. It says Sasha is investigating whether children are taller now than they were 50 years ago. Okay, so you can actually use secondary data because you need data from the past. It's quite impossible to actually ask a lot of people that how tall were you or how tall were people back then 50 years ago. So it's best that you use a secondary data, normally in a census, you can get it online to see how tall people are, or population study done by other people. Normally, some companies do that, or even the government does that. Okay. The next one is Anders is investigating whether boys prefer to eat an apple or an orange or a banana. So this one you should be able to use primary data because he needs to conduct a survey himself to collect an accurate data. Or else it's very difficult to look it up online whether boys like to eat apple, orange, or banana. Third one, Ajiti is investigating whether there is more rainfall in India than there was 10 years ago. This one you definitely need to use secondary data because we're using data from the past. Then Arfan is investigating the most popular brand of TV sold in his country. Okay, this is quite big of a scale. You can use primary data collection, but it will take a very long period of time. For example, if this country is very big, then it's quite impossible to go to every single state to check what is their favorite or the most popular brand of TV. So this is the secondary data. Third one, Alicia is investigating the average salary earned by government employees. So you ought to actually use secondary data because you cannot go and interview one government employee at a time. You will need to use data from either the internet or the library or the government office himself. Okay, the next one is Jake is investigating the favorite sports of 15-year-old children. So you can use primary data as long as you ask them and make sure that they are 15 years old, then you can actually get a very, very specific answer. Salika is investigating the most popular size of shoes sold in the country. So in this one, you can use secondary data because it's hard to sample the whole country. People in one state doesn't represent the whole country, or people in 2 states doesn't represent the whole country. So either you go to every single state and collect a sample size, or you just use a secondary data that has been collected by another agency. H, Xavier is investigating the number of visits people make to a dentist each year. Okay, this one you can use both secondary or primary, but I feel that using primary data will be more accurate because you can just get the data from dentists around the area, and then you can roughly see how often is a visit to the dentist each year. For number 2, Hassan wants to find the most popular color of car that is sold in the USA. He finds data that shows the most popular color of cars that is sold in Europe is silver. So he can assume that silver is the most popular car that is sold in the United States of America. Yes and no. To give a reason why it could be right. Okay, Hassan could be right because Europeans and Americans may have the same likings towards the color silver, or silver is a very common color for cars. People normally buy silver colored cars. But he can also be wrong at the same time because the preference of Europeans are most likely to be different from the preference of people in the United States of America. So they may have different preferential car color. So he can either be right or wrong, but you just need to justify why he is right and why he is wrong.